What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be hopefully making it harder for us to set ourselves on fire. The injector type that we use right now is an LS3 length. It's a really short length. The manifold that we have, the Holley high ram, it has two levels for those fuel rails that one's for LS3 length and one's for LS1 length, the longer ones. The ones for LS3 length are almost the right height. But we had an issue a while back where we had fuel pressure go up to like 120 psi, and it kind of showed us an issue where it took a lot of fuel pressure for that to happen, but luckily it happened when the engine was cold, so that when it did push that O-ring out of the top, it hit everything that was cold. The engine had just started up, so there was no risk of fire or anything like that. But what that showed us is we started looking at how close that top O-ring is to the bottom of that rail. So with the injectors constantly having fuel pressure that are pushing them down into the manifold, they bottom out in the manifold, and there's a little bit, it's not actually bottoming out on the body of the injector, it's bottoming out on the bottom of it in that actual hole. The problem that we're seeing is that that's a little bit too low. So to fix this problem, we're gonna try to make some spacers that keep the injectors from going too far down into the manifold, because they have a lot of space to come up in the intake manifold hole where they would still be able to seal perfectly fine. It's an O-ring seal on the bottom, so as long as it's in that tube, basically, it's going to seal the way it needs to. So we're going to bring that injector body up a little bit so that it fits further into the rail, so that it's not possible for it to push out that O-ring. We got our buddy from Colorado to whip us up some on his little tiny lathe. He's got a really cool channel. He does a whole bunch of off-road stuff. He's building a couple of bugs right now. Buggies, he goes out off-roading. Tons of good information on like suspension travel and stuff like that. He built all of his suspension and axles and stuff from scratch. He's got some pretty gnarly builds going on.
If you've been watching my videos and you're up to speed on ratchet, he actually has two shock towers. I've got these pieces are bolt-on like I explained earlier, so if I decide I do need to move this shock absorber location around a little bit, just if I find that I need to adjust the travel a little bit, it'll allow me a place where I can move that around. Oh man, this is nice. I've said this about 100 times so far, but when all of this stuff starts coming together, from cardboard templates to the real thing, and just your design coming together is really cool, as long as it's working out, which this appears to be working out well so far. So
his channel, I'll put it down on the bottom, but it's Doug Bug. So yeah, check it out. He's got some awesome instructional videos. But yeah, so we'll put these in real quick and see where we're at. Hopefully we don't have to carve them up at all, but if we have to, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. So I'm not too sure about the outer diameter of these. We got to see how they fit. There's a ton of room in this Holley manifold setup, but I do need to see, they might need a little bit of carving down on the outside. But the inner diameter and the thickness is meant to fit on that injector, to where the difference between the diameter of the metal body on the bottom and the plastic body on the top, this should snug up against the plastic body and lift that injector up a little bit. All right, so I'll try to zoom in on this. Hopefully you can see here. This is the spacing that we currently have. So if this injector is pushed all the way down into the manifold as far as it can go. And I won't be able to get the shot, but a lot of the injector is not in the fuel rail. Like if you look underneath at a different angle, which I'm not gonna be able to show you, you can see the very bottom of that O-ring. So, and I don't know what it is. Maybe the injectors are a little bit short, or these just where they're drilled, where these manifolds are drilled for these rails is just a little bit too high. Not too sure. But see how large a pad we have here. That's why I don't think we'll have to carve that spacer down at all. And I think it's pretty much that big for all of them. So this manifold will probably be pretty easy to do, but other manifolds you might have to get something a little bit more specific, when it comes to the spacer. But I'll show you what those look like with the spacer here in a second. This is what we're talking about. So when this injector is sitting inside the manifold, it's going to be being pushed down so that the plastic part of this injector is resting up against the washer. Pretty basic, that's all we're doing. So, all right, we'll put them all in here and see what it looks like. All right, so we got this side all done. Hopefully you can see that when I zoom in there. It's not too blurry, but Yeah, so spacers fit in there perfect. There's actually a little bit of room to spare on the backside of the this pad here that the injector sits on. Yeah, now when fuel pressure pushes down on this injector, they won't be able to move the injector any further than it is right now, which means that O-ring won't be able to, you know, squeak its way out of there at really high pressures. We probably won't be running really all that high pressure anymore. The only reason why I got that high in the first place is because we had an issue with the regulator and the double pump setup that we were doing. So now we have full control over it. I doubt it'll ever go up to 120 PSI. It has no reason to. The pump's not efficient up there, so this should keep the injectors from popping out, which gives us peace of mind, especially when I have Tanya driving the car and, you know, she's doing a pass down the track with manifolds glowing like crazy. Any fuel that comes out, I mean, that's bad news. So we knew we had to take care of this rig. So I'm glad Mike was able to get us some of these made so that we feel a little bit safer, or as Tanya calls them, Doug's dad. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this one. I just want to do a real quick one, just show you guys. I really do wish some injector companies would take kind of the more common manifolds and, you know, offer these to people. I'm sure a lot of people, if they offered them, would, and I think in a lot of scenarios it is necessary. So I know we used to make similar spacers for Hondas, because if you start using these small injectors, that stock O-ring, even though it fits over the injector, it doesn't seal very well, it doesn't hold it very tight. So if you run high enough boost, that donut just comes right up over the injector body and it lets out, you know, air and fuel. So I know that bit us in the ass a couple of times. So I don't know, it'd be cool. I'm surprised Injector Dynamics, as specific as they make their top hats, adapters for certain cars, that they don't also make options for inserts. So I don't know, maybe that's something that some of the injector companies, or even anybody else, anybody that has access to a lathe that can mass produce something like this. I don't know, maybe it's an idea. Comes in, we'll do another video of putting that in there, and hopefully that solves all of our problems and we get to make some full passes. So yeah, don't forget, click the join button if you want to support us even more. Huge help, a couple different levels. You get some like extra content and early release to see these videos and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one.